Here is another example of solving quadratic equation by completing the square. This is a little bit harder because of this coefficient, which this b. This b is not an even number, so that's a little bit harder. But it's not that easy. It's not that too hard. So we're going to see how it is. I will deal with that with this number that is not even number. Okay. So the first thing to do is to move this 3 to the other side. All right, and becomes a -3 on the other side. Okay, here you go. So you have still not too hard, it's just moving this 3 to the other side. Okay, the next thing to do is to put a blank and put another blank over here. Okay, here are the blanks inserted. The purpose of the blank is to complete the square. Okay, to find a number that will complete the square for this side. Now we're going to complete the square. I want to show you how I got this 25/4. Basically what you do is you take this b, or I write the formula again. This is a formula.
New messages received from Jose Ayala.
So this is the formula. Formula will look something like this. Something like this. 1 second. It's loading up. Alright, here we go. So we have b over 2 squared. Alright. Here our b is -5. Okay, I'm going to do it over here. -5 over 2 squared will be -5 squared and 2 squared, which is 25, because -5 times -5 is this -5 times -5 is 25. Alright, and then 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so it's just the same process, only that we have a number at the denominator now. So that's how we got the 25/4 right here. Take a half of this and square. Take a half of this and square it. You get 25/4. Now you add that to both sides. So add that to left side and to the right side. Okay. Now, before we go to the next screen to see what's going to happen, I want to kind of prep your mind about the math that is involved with the fraction. Okay. All right. Okay. This is what you do. You would add -3 plus 25/4. If the math is too hard for you, take your calculator and do -3 plus 24/4, hit enter, and then change it to fraction. But I'll do the math real quick. Okay, what you do is you'd let's see over here, -3 plus 25/4. It's going to be a challenge with this pen that doesn't want to write. All right, so but anyway, we're gonna try 25/4. All right, I'm gonna do that all over again. It's not very clear. That pen is not good. All right, let's see. Let's try another one. All right, let's just do it. So we have -3 plus 25/4. So what you would do is to find a common denominator. All right, so you're going to multiply this left side by 4. Put 4 down here. That means you multiply by 4 and you multiply by 4. So times 4 times 4. Let me make sure you're not confused. It used to be 1 over here. All right, so you just multiply the top and the bottom by 4. You will get -12/4 plus 25/4. Okay, so -12 plus 25 is 13. That's how I got the 13 over here. And then you keep the denominator, or if you follow the rules for doing addition of fractions. Keep the denominator, add the numerator, you will get 13/4. Hopefully this pen does not confuse you. Alright, next. Now that we got that, we're going to take square root of both sides. If you take the square root of both sides, this 13/4, this 13/4 is that square root, but we use plus or minus always. And then the square root, imagine that we have placed a square root over here. The square root and the square are going to cancel each other out, leaving you with only that. So our next step is to add 5 over 2 to both sides. We're going to add this 5 over 2 to both sides. And now what we need to do is to add them to both sides. Now, but first, I needed to make sure that you understand that when you have square root of a fraction, it's like you take square root separately, the numerator separately, and the denominator separately. All right, this 4 doesn't want to write today, but I'm going to get it. Okay, here we go. So square root of 4 is 2. That is that 2 down here. And square root of 13 is irrational. It's not a perfect square, so we're going to keep it just the way it is. Square root of 13 is just a rational number. Square root of 4 is 2. All right, that's how we got that, okay, from here to here. And now we just add 5 over 2 to both sides. Plus 5 over 2, plus 5 over 2. Plus 5 over 2, plus 5 over 2. X is going to be left by itself. And the next screen is just going to separate this into two numbers now. Maybe I should prepare your mind about that. If you have the same denominator, you will keep it and add the numerator. So it's going to look like this. 5 plus minus square root of 13 over 2. I'm going to look for another pen. Okay, so here we go. So square root of 13 over 2. This is the answer to the problem. But remember, there are two numbers here. There is the 5 minus root 13 over 2, and there is a 5 plus root 13 over 2. So let's see. That is why when we separate it into 5 plus root 13 over 2, 5 minus root 13 over 2. It really doesn't matter what order you have it, but it would be preferable to have this one, the smaller one on the left and the bigger one on the right, but it really doesn't matter. So there you have it. This is the whole process. So again, the part that is a little bit confusing or interesting, the most, not confusing but interesting, is that this number is not a whole number. This is not an even number. I'm sorry, this is not an even number. When you take a half of it, you're going to have a fraction, and when you square this, you get another fraction. If you know how to deal with fraction, adding, subtracting, that is not a big deal to get your answer to the final part. Hopefully this helps.